Greetings, friends. In this video, I'm going to be interviewing my grandfather, Robert. So that's why I'm speaking a bit more loudly, so he can hear, but also because I'm standing farther away from the microphone, that's why I have to speak a bit louder and I have to be right here, otherwise you wouldn't hear me. So there's a lot more people on my channel now, so you may not have seen the original interview with my grandfather, Robert, from a few months ago. So I will post the link in the description of this video. And in that video, Robert describes his really interesting story where he's from Latvia. He escaped Soviet Latvia and eventually got into England, lived there, eventually came to Canada and worked his way up as an engineer. So I thought in this video I would go over some of his experiences as an engineer in Canada, working for Redpath Sugar. And because Robert's interested in science, the second half of this interview will get more into hopefully some interesting scientific discussion about some deep questions. So without further ado, thank you again, Robert, my grandpa, for volunteering your time.
Yeah.
And now, we know that you're how old are you? For those of us who are new to my grandpa, can you tell them how old are you?
Well, I'm 100 years and I don't know, 6 or 8 months old.
Right. Good for you. So I'm going to pick up the story. When you're already living in Canada, and so tell us, where did you arrive in Canada first, when you came over from England?
What was the question?
What place in Canada?
Oh, what place? I arrived at Montreal.
Right, in Montreal.
Montreal, Quebec, yeah, and also. Well, because I had a couple of friends living there before already, and so we stayed there for I don't remember, a week or a couple of weeks, just to orientate and to get myself a job, and that's what happened. Matter of fact, I got a job in the next few days.
When was this?
That was in 1957.
1957.
1957. In summertime. I think it was June.
And what was that first job?
Well, the first job was in the engineering line as a draftsman.
A draftsman.
Yeah.
So what does a draftsman do?
Well, a draftsman designs and draws up engineering drawings.
Was this for Redpath Sugar?
Yeah.
Already. In 1957, you're already...
In 1957, yeah. I think I got the job in the first week after arrival, and so I started my work there.
So tell us about that job as a draftsman.
Well, you know, it's a bit difficult to because you know, there can be so many various sides of it, but everyone knows draftsman is preparing engineering drawings, design, let's say, new designs, and so that it can be produced.
So designs of what?
Well, designs of any changes or new equipment which was used in the sugar refinery.
So what education did you have that prepared you for this job?
Oh, well, I had university, I got a university degree, engineering degree in Latvia. And so, of course, engineering science is the same anywhere.
Yeah, I was going to ask you what branch of engineering did you study? Yeah.
Engineering is a general
fair enough, yeah.
Subject.
Right, fair enough.
Yeah.
Okay, so how long did you work as a draftsman in Montreal for Redpath?
Well now, started in 57 and I moved to Toronto in 1979.
You moved to Toronto in 79.
But I was still working for the same company, and but at that time, of course, I had moved. I had moved higher up. As a matter of fact, as I was the general manager of the refinery.
Oh yeah, the head honcho, the top dog.
That was in Montreal.
Right.
In Montreal Refinery, I was the general manager.
Oh, already the general manager.
Yeah.
In Montreal.
In Montreal, and then my retirement was approaching. At 65, you were supposed to retire.
So I'm a little confused. When did you become a general manager in Montreal?
Well, I became a general manager in. Let me think. You see these items. At my age,
Fair enough. It makes sense. But how long were you a draftsman? Just for a few years?
Oh, I was a draftsman for 5 years because Canada has a law. I had a university degree, which is recognized all over, yeah. But in Canada, you had to be 5 years, living 5 years before you were officially accepted.
Accepted as what?
As what your degree was saying, yeah. Well, as an engineer, yeah.
As an official engineer?
Yeah.
Okay.
Although I did engineer's work already before that, but I was not officially.
Not official, yeah.
Not officially the engineering degree. Canada recognizes after the man has lived for 5 years.
Okay, so help me understand your job at Redpath, because you worked at Redpath for many years, 1957 until
I retired. As a matter of fact, after I continued after my retirement.
Until what year? About 1983? Around that time?
My official retirement was 1981.
1981 officially. Retired.
Because in 1981 I was 65 years old.
Right.
So 65 years is the key word.
Right. Yeah.
And I worked at Redpath. I continued working for about 5 years after my retirement.
Right.
After my official retirement.
Right.
They called me a consultant.
A consultant eventually, yeah.
Yeah.
So so you were a general manager in Montreal.
Yeah.
And then you came to Toronto 79?
79, as a matter of fact, Redpath Sugar has had two refineries.
Yeah, another one in Toronto.
In Toronto
Right.
and in Montreal.
And in Montreal.
So, shortly before my official retirement in 81, probably a year or a year and a half before that, they transferred me to Toronto.
Right. And then what did you do in Toronto? A consultant?
I was a consultant in engineering. As well as management.
So the bulk of your experience in Redpath Sugar was as a general manager. Basically, that means you were an engineer. You were working as an engineer, but what makes you a general manager? There must be some other. Help us understand, what did that mean? Did you have more authority?
Of course.
Of course. Right. So describe what was your job? What was your authority?
Well, as any manager, I was the top man in the factory.
Right. So could you fire people?
I could fire. I could engage. All operations. What a general manager can do, I could do.
And did you hire people as well then?
Whatever came up as needed.
So I don't know much about engineering. So for those of us who don't know, help us understand, what would a daily week, what would a typical week be like?
Oh boy, that's
there was no routine. There were no normal things.
No.
Interesting.
Any job, let's say of the same kind, will be different at any place you work, because the character of the industry is different.
Right, but what sort of things? Like, you had to design certain things?
Well, you don't deal at details. You deal with general questions. You have to deal with people as employees. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You have to hire or fire people. You have to move them. You have to evaluate them. Whatever, promote or it's difficult to explain in a few words or in a few minutes.
Right. But can you remember of any specific problems that the factory had that you had to solve?
Well, there were problems every day. Minor problems, but there were also some major problems.
What were those?
Well, you see, you're asking questions now, which my mind has become much slower now.
Of course, yeah. Fair enough, yeah.
I can.
Yeah.
But, there were many...
was it ever dangerous? Were there ever any accidents?
No.
Right. Sorry,
there was, as a matter of fact, around that time, or before I moved to Toronto, there was sort of a very general sort of how to say, general review of the company's actions and well, the factory's formation. And I remember that in the last couple of 2-3 years, I worked on a big project, sort of redesigned many branches of the factory.
Oh yeah.
I remember having a project which was costing around $50 million.
Oh yeah, a project that costly.
That costly. That was some departments were remodeled, and some of the well, of the factories' workshops were redesigned, or the well, it is a bit difficult.
Yeah, fair enough.
I'm not prepared.
Yeah, no, that's fine. That's fair enough. Did you ever make improvements to the factory?
Yes.
That lowered the workforce?
Yes,
Right, yeah.
It was that.
Yeah.
One of the biggest projects was. Well, I remember that project reduced the workforce for around just over 40 people.
Oh yeah, from how many?
Oh, there were
many hundreds?
About 300.
About 300.
350.
So you were able to, make it more efficient.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So how would you respond?
And that, as I mentioned before, that project was costing around $50 million.
$50 million, yeah. In the 70s or the 60s.
No, that was in the late 70s.
Late 70s, yeah. So it would be worth even more money today. Even more money, yeah.
Of course, yeah.
So that's very interesting, and I think you did a great thing for capitalism to make the business more efficient. What
was the main purpose.
Exactly.
Of engineering.
Right. That's the main purpose. So how would you respond to socialists who say, "Oh, you did a bad thing because you put 40 people out of work"? What would be your response?
Well, you increase the efficiency of the remaining people by providing the necessary mechanisms, the functional design, reorganization of that all goes together.
Right. Yeah. To make it more efficient.
Yeah.
But I don't think you understood my question. I mean, in politics, right? If someone says, "Oh, you know what I'm saying is people who say capitalism is a bad thing."
No.
What would be your response to those people?
Well, capitalism is without capitalism there. Well, how to respond? Capitalism is one way of, or not the only way, but one way of organizing people and equipment to higher or better production.
To hire or make better production.
Yeah.
Right. Can you elaborate? I didn't quite understand.
Well,
Yeah.
let's say you can reorganize and use mechanized means, machinery, or not just machinery, but also let's say relating the cutting out unproductive ways,
Right.
and replacing them with more effective
Right.
means.
And you think this is a good thing for society?
That is a very good thing, because
How does it benefit society?
well, it benefits in the sense that you need less people to produce the same amount or better quality, or better and larger quality. So you have improved the what you call the productivity.
It makes sense. Higher productivity.
Yeah.
So just one more question about capitalism. Some people say, "Oh, you put some people out of work." So what about those people you put out of work? What's your
Well,
what would you say to them?
Well,
What would be your advice to those people out of work?
Well, to look for another job.
Right, yeah. Look for another job.
Yeah, but,
Get a job. Do something.
Yeah,
Right.
Because that means
Yeah.
better production means advancing your standards.
Right.
In other words, it means raising the well-being of the community.
Right. So you think, would you agree that everyone can participate in increasing productivity for society? Everyone can have a chance to participate?
Well, there will be many lines where you couldn't
Right.
do anything, but especially in factories where there's lots of people and lots of
Right.
various machinery and
Right. So what did you like best about working for Redpath Sugar? What did you enjoy the most about it?
Well, because the work was interesting.
Oh, yeah.
I was interested because every project, which you present to the top management and is approved, that improves the I don't know any other words, improves productivity,
Right.
which in effect, in other way, it lowers the cost of availability for the general public.
What do you mean the cost of availability?
Well, you improve the production, you lower the price.
Of course, yeah. You make it, a better deal for people, right? So, did you ever have to work with many people, or were you on your own in your own office?
No. Well, as I said in my last years, I became the general manager.
Yeah.
In which case it was mainly dealing with people.
Of course, that's true. Yeah. Mainly people then.
Yeah.
Men, women.
Oh, were mixed.
Mixed. But who were what were the employees? Who were the employees?
Well, as I say, mixed also.
But the same job, mixed?
Well, depending on the job. For instance, attending some machinery, there were many women.
Oh yeah, fair enough.
whereas in some other works, working in the warehouse,
Right, yeah.
either of raw sugar or
Right.
or finished
Right.
finished products,
Yeah.
let's say sacks of sugar and
Interesting.
so on.
So the hard labor.
That
men.
is hard labor.
But you say, I'm interested to hear that there were. You're saying there were female engineers?
No,
No.
no.
But you said there were some females attending the machines, but not engineers.
Attending machines, of course. Yeah,
Right.
There were.
Oh, just doing like more simple.
That's
simple
right.
labor.
The machine was doing the hard work, and the woman was only supervising.
Okay, fair enough. So is it fair to say that the people with the most knowledge, the specialists, the engineers, the CEOs, were there any women, or was it mostly men?
Mostly men.
Mostly men. 90%?
Well, I can't say percentage.
Right.
I would say they were men. And
did you ever work with a woman engineer of your same level?
No. You will find very, very few women in the engineering profession.
Right.
I don't know. But there is generally. The way women are made or structured or...
right. Men and women are different. Would you agree with that?
Of course, of course.
Their minds are different. Their brains, a little different.
There is smaller difference in mind, but in the physical structure.
Right. But it doesn't take physical strength to be an engineer to know math.
Well,
why don't so many women go into math and engineering and just study it? Just have the brain power.
What you mean, the brain power?
Well, you said you didn't meet any female engineers, so I'm asking why.
Because you see, women. Are not sort of. They don't like the field of work.
Of course,
they don't like to operate machinery.
Right. Of course, yeah.
And things like that.
Right.
As well as. Let's say a little physical work. Yeah.
Right. No, it makes sense. So I want to just ask you one more question about Redpath Sugar, and then get into some interesting questions about science, evolution, spirituality, that kind of stuff. So Redpath Sugar sent you on some trips around the world?
Yes. Yes.
Can you remember where did they send you? And to do what and where? Yeah.
In some cases, I have forgotten. You know.
Right. Yeah.
I've been in Africa, in a country.
Ivory Coast.
Ivory Coast.
Right.
They were very large sugar producers.
Right. Yeah.
And it turned out that Canadian government had granted a big loan to Ivory Coast. I don't know and don't remember now the details. Therefore, as a matter of fact, they had some problem with watering the sugar.
The sugar cane.
The sugar cane fields, you know. They, Ivory Coast, they had huge cane fields.
Yeah.
And they had, some problem, not enough rain or what, and there was a big river flowing through into the Atlantic Ocean. And and they needed, like sometimes there was not enough rain,
Of course.
and they needed artificial irrigation. Well, they were selling lots of raw sugar to Canada.
Oh yeah.
And they had been in touch with Canadian government. So it was in fact some Canadian government agency that asked Redpath Sugar company whether the company can help, and of course I was very well sort of situated as an engineer and in higher administrative position. They inquired, and in fact the Canadian government sent me to Ivory Coast to help them in the watering irrigation programs. I went there and saw the situation, and I designed a pumping station for them.
Okay. So how long were you there to design the pumping station?
Well, I was there only to see the situation.
Right.
There was a river, and I had to see the details, how the pumping station had to be on the river.
Right, yeah.
On the side of the river.
Yeah.
And I was only there about 4 days.
Oh, okay.
And then I came back and designed for them a pumping station.
Right.
Selected also suppliers, because on the spot Ivory Coast is not a place where you can get equipment, or
of course, yeah.
They don't manufacture.
Right.
I designed and selected the suppliers and gave the information to Canadian government department, and they sent it over.
Great. Well, I don't want to ask you any more about your engineering days. That's very helpful. But basically, if the audience wants to know more about that, feel free to let me know, and I can ask you next time. But I want to move this interview into the second phase now, and I want to get into some science and some deeper ideas. So how do you describe your spiritual views? Do you have any spiritual views?
Well, that's a very difficult question. I don't know. And keeping in mind that you have surprised me with this interview. Half an hour ago I had no idea.
That's true, yeah.
And
well, I told you, but yeah.
And all this happened. It would be now more than 50 years ago.
Right. No. Oh yeah. No. I just mean now, right? I don't worry about the engineering history, but I mean, do you believe that like did religion ever have an impression on you? Belief in a god or belief in a soul?
Well, not in connection with engineering.
Of course, it's a different topic. Yeah.
It is a different thing.
Yeah.
So what was your question?
Yeah, I mean, do you believe that when you die, that's it? Do you believe that when you die, that's the end? There's no more experience.
When I die.
When the body dies.
Oh, when the body die. Oh, well, now that is a completely different line.
Yeah, it's a completely different line.
And
so our grandma, my Andra, my mother.
Yeah.
Are they gone? They died. So are they
No.
gone forever?
No.
Okay.
No, they are not gone forever. You see, everything that is here today has taken thousands, millions of years to change and to develop and change, and there are uncountable number of let's say connections which you might I find it a little bit difficult all of a sudden to switch in a different line.
Right, yeah.
But nothing in the world is lost. And everything changes every day, every minute. Everything changes, yeah. But there are so many different subjects and situations. We are incapable of.
So then, yeah.
Of even to go into details, which is impossible. But in general, the world as such started from, we say, from nothing. It is not nothing. Well, how to explain? You see, okay, there are two great subjects or two great parts of the world. One is the physical, and the other one is, it is called mental, but you have to imagine that there is no straight laws or descriptions. A physical thing or physical object or idea is always formed. In some way, it has some physical properties, like volume is a physical property, yeah, or shape. Well, all physical things have these, which, in millions of different forms and different kinds. Well, there is also the opposite, the mental side. I don't know whether the word mental is really...
Is that like energy?
Well, energy, yeah, and energy. There is a physical energy and mental energy. Physical energy you can measure, you can express in in known units or values. Well, you can't do that with mental energy or spiritual energy. Well, I find a bit difficult now. What was the question?
I was just asking you to elaborate on if you have spiritual views, and that to me is spiritual. You're saying that humans have an unmeasurable aspect.
Yeah.
We always have an unmeasurable aspect.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So death is not the end.
Unmeasurable aspect, unmeasurable qualities, and their expressions.
So death is not the end.
No, that's not the end. You see, very often the questions comes to mind in people or discussed the origins. How did it came about to be? Because everyone accepts the view that at the very beginning there was nothing. But nothing is an expression that's a material or physical expression. Nothing. No thing.
Right.
Nothing.
Right.
You see, no thing, but that doesn't mean that there was, see, we don't have even a proper word to express the other side. We say nothing.
Of course, something, or
you see,
right? It's still a thing, right?
Yeah.
It's not moving into the non-measurable.
Non-measurable.
Yeah. Nothing or something is still immeasurable.
Yeah.
And in the beginning, when there was nothing, there might have been the immeasurable.
When we say there was nothing in the room, well, that's just an expression which absolutely is not true.
Of course.
But you cannot measure and say, oh, there was something, because you didn't see it.
Right. That's really interesting. The immeasurable quality of life.
Yeah.
And all things, like physical things, and then things we can't see.
We can't see, we can't feel, but yet we can't physically feel, but we can mentally feel. We can mentally sort of imagine. You can't feel, but you can imagine.
You can imagine them, and they exist somehow in that.
Yeah.
That's very illuminating.
And at the very beginning, when we say there was nothing, well, it means there were no things,
of course,
that you could measure, see, or hear, or what. There was nothing, but there was something.
Right. Something mental, something immeasurable.
Something mental, something immeasurable, and it is immeasurable because when things and people developed, then only it became sort of something that you could feel or you could see.
Of course. So that's very illuminating, and I want to bridge from that into evolution. So,
boy.
What's your opinion of evolution? Like, do you think that humans came from apes and that all life was created on Earth? Do you think life could have come from another planet to Earth?
Well, but that
Yeah.
that explanation, when we would say that life came from other planets, that doesn't solve anything.
It doesn't. No, that's true. Yeah, that's true. Right.
How did it get on the other planet?
Well, people talk about bacteria in meteorites. Bacteria.
They are still measurable or something that you can physically feel.
Right.
For instance, air. Yeah, you don't. Well, you can feel wind. Yeah?
Right. Yeah.
But basically you can't see because it's very, very small, and but that's still not nothing.
Right. So this immeasurable.
But what, for instance, something immeasurable, an example would be feelings, your thoughts, or even well, they still can be explained by microscopic units, but well, our mind is incapable to understand because we don't have an example. Nobody can ever experience
the creation of life. We can't experience. We can't conceptualize the creation of life.
That's right. We can't because we everything that is around us is measurable, and because we have developed in we ourselves are actual measurable things, but we can't even now we can't explain your thoughts.
No, it's you can't remove yourself out of the thought. When you're thinking, you can't get out and then say, oh, that you exist now in the moment.
Yeah.
So we can't conceptualize the creation event.
No, and since we can't do that, then we cannot create any words to describe them.
Is that what God is? Is God beyond words?
Well,
if God is the universe is beyond.
God is beyond the words. God is, well, that represents the things that we can't measure, that we cannot touch, we cannot see.
But do we still come from that, even though?
Yes, we must have, because if we accept, and we have to accept, that way back, when there was nothing.
Most scientists would say that. I mean, not everyone would agree, but I basically agree. That's what the Bible says, and that's what the Big Bang theory, the Big Bang, the universe. But there are some scientists who might not agree.
The Big Bang is sort of a trial by people to somehow make similarity or which we know and which we realize,
a similarity we realize.
Because see, all our experience when we're born and our foregoers, what you call it,
Forefathers.
forefathers, or whenever life started, yeah. We cannot imagine that, because
No,
we
yeah.
are not made. We are made of things that can be measured and felt and described. Now we don't. You see, we don't have even a word. We cannot imagine and accept a word that would describe nothing.
That's very
You see,
well put.
we use when we describe nothing, the best we can do, we use word nothing, which no things.
Of course, yeah.
No things.
No things.
No things. So you still bring to explain nothing. You compare it with things around
Right.
you, which were not there. So that's sort of a roundabout description. It is not a direct name for nothing. Nothing, no things.
No things.
See, usually you describe no things that I would call no animal,
Right.
or something, to describe the lack of it, or
Yeah. No coffee.
yeah, no.
No, it makes sense.
Well,
That's very, very deep.
yeah.
So,
You see, well, because I don't know. See, in our head, when we think, definitely when we talk, but when we think about things, yeah, and that comes only from experience, because when you were born, you started to see things, and you yourself was a thing. Before that, there was no such thing, or nothing.
no subject, no object.
No subject, no object.
No subject, no object. Right. I was talking about that in my previous video. The philosopher Martin Heidegger, anyways, he says that man exists in the clearing. Once there's a space in the forest or then the subject-object distinction can begin. Because when you don't have a clearing, when you don't have space, you can't have a perception of myself and...
No, exactly. Nothing you can't, in its true, very, very in the seed, like in its meaning, we don't have a meaning. We have sort of borrowed something. This is a thing, yeah. This is a thing. So we say there was no thing, nothing.
Of course, yeah. There was no basis to make that distinction.
But we don't say what was there.
Right.
We say there wasn't.
Right. Yeah. What was there? Yeah. That's interesting.
We can't, we can't. Well, here you see we often say there was nothing because there are, in fact, the very small particles, infinitely small. You see, we say infinitely small. Okay, you can imagine that this can become smaller, 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 smaller. But what is when it vanishes?
It does vanish at a certain point. It does.
Well, that vanishes, but what's in its place?
Mental energy.
That's right. I think you guessed.
That's the double slit experiment in quantum physics. When they observe, the electron behaves like a particle.
Yeah.
When they don't observe, the electron behaves like a wave. So they fire the electron at a wall, and when the scientists are not measuring, it behaves like a wave, spread out.
Yeah.
But when they are measuring, it goes to a certain area, like a particle.
Well,
yeah.
You see, well, because all our language is based on, you can imagine, let's say, the first man, if that would have been possible, when there was nothing, and then all of a sudden a man appeared, he wouldn't have been able to say or think where he is or what he is, because there was not another example what he could see and feel and measure. That is the basic thing. We use our what you call it, elementary, to feel something, but
our empiricals, our five senses.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I don't know.
Well,
our talk descended to nothing.
Well, in some sense it did. We descended to the final point. So I think I'm going to conclude the interview because this is a good place to conclude it, unless you have any, let me just ask you one more question to conclude. It's related. It's tied to what you were saying. If everything comes from this mental energy, is this a projection? Is this an illusion? Is reality, maybe some people say it's a projection, it's not really real?
No. Well, it's not real because it's not happening now. Or it may be happening, but we are incapable of seeing, feeling, or knowing.
Can you explain? I'm a little confused. It may be happening.
Well, what I mean is, if we imagine that at the beginning was nothing, which at the moment we can't explain,
Yeah.
But but we realize what we mean,
right?
When we say nothing, No thing,
right?
Because if there had been an eye, they wouldn't have seen anything.
Yeah, that's right.
Right?
Yeah, they wouldn't.
They wouldn't complete like our eye. We wouldn't have seen anything.
Right. You wouldn't even recognize anything.
No.
Yeah.
Absolutely no. we couldn't have felt anything. Here,
Right.
we can feel air.
Well, the baby maybe is experiencing everything, and then it narrows it down. It cuts it down. Maybe it selects a picture of reality from the infinite reality.
Well, the baby didn't have an eye. All of a sudden, it came out and it opened his eyes and he could see. Previously, before that,
Right. But he doesn't have an eye right away. It takes a few years before he learns to have an eye.
I don't know.
Right.
Learning is another. Learning is just
Right.
Another part of you, your brain,
Right.
Receives signals from your eye, for instance.
Right. But the baby might not recognize what's going on.
No.
Yeah,
of
so
course,
he still wouldn't have really a sense of eye, and not yet.
No.
Yeah.
But even if he doesn't, but it still exists.
Yeah, I guess I could understand that to some extent. Yeah. But it must exist even before he's born, then.
It must.
Yeah, that must always be existing. I don't know.
But it must have developed from a single seed in your body.
Oh, okay, right, yeah. Right. But I mean, this mental energy, bringing it back to what you were saying, everything comes out of that mental energy, even to the place where we can say a thing and no thing. Just like the infant also comes from that.
Yeah. But you see, we are unable to explain because we have no comparison. Everything else, what we talk right now, we have seen or heard or thought or heard about things, yeah. We've heard, and we learned when we were practically, I don't know, when we were nothing.
Yeah. When we were nothing.
No, it can't. You see, my mind is inclined to sort of think that at the beginning there was just a general feeling. Now, you see, it's difficult to accept for somebody else. It's difficult to accept because we say there was nothing, yeah.
But a general feeling, a general vibration.
We don't have even a capacity to express what is nothing.
We don't.
We cannot imagine truly, yeah, if you analyze it truly. We cannot feel. We don't know what is nothing.
No.
Yet we have to assume that at the beginning was nothing. Well, maybe that assumption is wrong. Maybe that there always was. That is sort of my point sometimes when I think that that's a good starting point. That there was a space filled with feelings which we cannot detail, we cannot explain. That's the simplest how far we can go, how far people can go today or 100 years ago or maybe a million years ahead, they will still not be able to explain. You see, our language is unable to transmit an impression, because we can't have an expression.
No, we can't.
We can't imagine how something like that would look. That there was, I in my thoughts, I always accept one thing which I say, which is not describable or in space. What is space?
The separation between two objects.
Yeah,
the measurable space between two objects.
Don't bring in the measurable, because
right. Well, you can't speak of you can't speak of it
because
really.
Because there was nothing else, then you could not measure.
Of course, I know. So
there was no beginning or no end of space, is there?
I don't know. Some scientists say the universe is expanding or deep or closing, or I don't know. But yeah, no, I know. I agree. Yeah, there's no definite boundary.
Nobody can say space was that big or that big, or
no.
Here is space.
No, it's always changing.
And there is no space.
Yeah.
Space is a word for like a possibility, or that things could be there. You see, we are unable to define
space?
Space.
We can't define it, yeah.
You can't, no matter what language, no matter how, whether you are a professor or stupid or what, there is no way to, at least I don't know, and I don't think that anybody else knows, how to define space.
I don't know what the dictionary would say. I didn't look it up.
Well, dictionary,
yeah.
They would use, if they use all spaces from this wall to that wall.
Right. Right.
That space.
Right. That's not satisfying, though.
That's not satisfying. that is distance.
Right. That's distance. Right. Right. Good point. That's distance, not space.
Space is an imaginary definition, or whatever, to say that, you see, we shouldn't use other words, but we have to say that there could be something.
To say that there could be something.
No, that's wrong too.
No. We don't have the language to.
No. Well, we have everything. We have houses, trees, and sky, and so on. and we can define or measure. But what is space? How big is it?
Oh, geez, yeah. That you can't define. I don't know. I don't think it's
How
possible.
far do you go to the end of space than what is there?
No more. I don't know, but personally, I say that's just the boundary of our imagination. And if you could imagine, then there's no boundary to space.
Okay,
I don't know.
Okay, that probably is the best approach to say.
Interesting. Well, I think that brings us full circle with what I wanted to get into. So I won't pursue you anymore on this topic. So I want to thank you again for sharing your time, and it's always a pleasure.
Well,
and it's always a privilege for me.
It is a pleasure to talk to you. Also.
Thank you, and we'll be able to share this with many people now, and maybe
I don't know whether I don't value my my talk or my expressions. I can't see that.
250 people or something like that saw the last interview where I interviewed you.
Is that right?
Yeah, something like that. Over some time, not all at once, but yeah. And it got.
I don't remember what we talked last time.
It was about your life story, more about your background in Latvia, Germany, the war, World War II.
Well, I'll tell you.
And getting to England, Canada, I asked you about other things too. I asked you about your smoking cigarettes and different, your lifestyle, and I asked you about different things.
That may be a better subject because other people can imagine. They can follow what you say.
Yeah. Well, we had a mix of both. We had some real and then some more abstract sort of things. But no, I think maybe next time we can talk about something else in science, like I don't know. Let us know, but evolution or aliens or govern. I don't know. Different topics.
Do you think that this was?
I hope so.
Worthwhile?
Oh, sure, it was worthwhile.
I don't know.
Of course it was worthwhile. Okay. So, friends, we've been chatting here for 1 hour and 13 minutes.
Is that right?
Yeah. And, well, it's a hot day, so time to say goodbye. Okay, friends.
Okay.
Take care. Hasta luego, amigos. Oops.